Hi everyone. So welcome to the last class or episode of this series. So today we're going to look for advanced techniques to load paginated do pagination the load script. All right. Okay. So we saw that before, but let's recap when to use scripted pagination. So we have to use it when the data connection does not support pagination. That's pretty much it. So the connector cannot find the pattern to do the next pagination. The values are not predictable, so it pretty much does not support it. Okay, so in that scenario, it's recommended to use the pagination in the load script. Sometimes the data connection is not easy to figure out, especially for offsets and other kinds of pagination. It may be possible, but if you get stuck on, okay, I have no clue how to do it in the data connection, it's not working. I know it's probably possible, but if you're struggling, you can also go to the load script. So because as soon as you learn how to do the pagination in the load script, you may be tempted to use it in other scenarios. But again, I do not recommend doing this way. So just leave scripted pagination when the data connection does not support it. Okay. And everything about pagination with load script, it's about the with connection. So we need to use it. So you have to learn how to use the with connection statement. Remember, the with connection statement is when you can overwrite the parameters. So you can specify what you want to overwrite in a connection, like the URL, the query parameters, the HTTP header parameters, and I think that's everything. Okay. So you need to know to understand how to use the with connection. All right. So then Stripe you will use the cursor. Okay. So what's the cursor? The cursor is you get the full data set, and at the end, in the root level of the REST API, you have two values. One has more, true or false, and then you have to capture the latest ID inserted in the loop. So this would be the request of the next page, okay? And for that, we need this parameter called starting after, okay? That's the important one. So this is the one we are going to use. All right, let's see how it works, okay? I'll go here first to Stripe. So if you go to the Stripe REST API documentation, then you have a page specific about pagination, right? So we are using the V1 of the REST API, and I was checking the documentation. They are going to add some endpoints. Let me see if we can have a V2 version that supports the next page URL. But even those, I was just checking this one. Even this one won't work in Qlik Cloud because Qlik Cloud needs the full URL, and this one returns it partially, so it will not work anyway. So so we can learn this. So for every API, you have to study the documentation, and then you have the techniques, the pagination techniques available. And so it talks about the starting after and shows all the properties. So you're pretty much working with the has more and the latest ID in the collection. In this case, this one is the only record. has more is false, so there is no other records. So this one is just one record, so it doesn't go anywhere. And if I go to Postman, again, Postman is even usable for test pagination. So first, I set my limit to be 2, okay? And then if I close down the records inside the data, just 2 rows as expected because my limit is 2. And then since I have 20, the has more is equal to true. So there is a next page. So then if I get the latest one here, that's the latest ID, and then include the start after and include this one, then I go to the next set. So then I go to the next set. Again, you have 2 records, but this time the latest one is this one. So then has more true. Now let's do, instead of limit 2, let's include limit 10. So I'm expecting 2 pages. So I'll go here, test. I believe I have 10 records here. Okay. Actually, let me go to the latest one. This is the last ID. And has more true. Okay. So then we start after, and you'll paste the value here. So what I'm expecting now to get the next set of records, and since I have 20, my has more, the next page will be false because I got the whole collection. Okay, so let's see. Good. So has more equals false. And then the latest ID now is this one. So what happens if I get this last ID and paste here? So this is a kind of, I'm expecting 0 records. I mean, it would be just a blank collection. So if I go here, yeah, this is what happens. So no more pages, empty collection. So you don't have anything else. In some REST APIs, this is also a way to check the pagination. Like you keep requesting until you have an empty collection. So if you don't have an empty collection, that means you reach the end. So, but in this case, it's not necessary. So we're just testing these things. Okay. So this is what we're going to implement in Qlik Cloud. Okay. We use the customers. And all right, let's start a new application. So I'm going to create a new application. I'll call episode 7, load script pagination. Okay. Then I don't need to change absolute anything in my connection, right? Customers. So my connection is pretty much the same. There is nothing extra here. So let me just double check. Only the token. And again, if connection is mandatory, so you need that. And like I said before, pagination type here can be none or custom. It doesn't make any effect. Okay. So, okay. So nothing changed. So just cancel. Then I'm going to get the customer's data. No limit. So now I need one extra field here. I'll include the has more. So I need the has more. And the data, I will add the ID. At this time, I'll just add ID, email, and name. Okay. I don't need anything else. Okay. Insert. All right. So this is everything I have. So since I have 2 levels here, one with the root level with has more, and the level under root. So that's why I have that's the customer data. I have 2 levels here because I have included this has more field. So if I load this data, let's see what we have. Okay, 10 records as expected because we only get the first page, correct? Okay, if I open data, you will have 10 rows. And here you'll be just one. Perfect. Now let's start cleaning. First, let's clean up the whole thing. So I call this customers, and I call it as customer ID. Okay, and I don't need this table. This table is just to show this field. I don't need that. Okay, so I can delete this one, and this is everything I have. Okay, so this is what I have now. So I get the raw data. I get the customers, and I drop the one, but I need the next one. So the next one I need to play with the has more field and with this starting after. Okay, so if I go back here, I need to override this with connection, right? Open close parentheses. And then this is where I need to include the has more. So I just type here, you'll be something like this, query. The parameter is, let me copy from here. Start after. And the value is something. Okay, I don't know because I don't have the collection. Okay, so I have to overwrite. I cannot pass this value in my first call because there is nothing, right? So this, you need to be a variable that I assign at the second time I call this connector. So I copy this and I will call it a V. Let me call this V starting after parameter, query parameter. Okay, I'm going to assign this after I call it. Okay, so let me copy this whole thing. Just do some dirty work here. Then I don't need this. And this will be let V equals query. Let me do this in two steps. V starting after query parameter value. There are many ways to implement that, right? So I'm just doing this one. So this will be pick. I'll use pick. I can use field value, but in this case here I'll use pick customer ID. This is the field name, and this is the trick. So -1. That means I'm getting the latest inserted one. If you use field value, you could use field count to get the latest one. And from the table customers. Okay. All right. And then this one here, UB query start after, and then I paste here the variable. Okay. Oh, I like to use field value. So field value be something like this. Field value, customer ID, and then you need field value count, and again, this guy right here. Is that correct? What's the problem? Field value count. Okay, so it's same effect. Okay, in this case I prefer the peak because this one here I need to call two functions. So, but you'll probably major difference in this case here. Unless you have too many records, then you have to test it, see which one is more effective. Okay, so again, this is just about, I looped through the first time, I went to the first pagination, I get the customers, and then I'm just building up my query statement. And to check it, I always recommend to add a trace. This equals this. I'm just checking the values, right? So I'm just trying to say, okay, I'm getting the latest loaded customer ID. I'm building up the query parameter that will be inserted here. So it's query starting after in the value, and I'm just tracing it. So every time you need to log something to the trace, add some information to the log, use trace. So then you may remove this at the end, but it doesn't hurt if you keep it. Okay, but this is just a tiny part. So I know at some point I also need, it has more. So just add here, has more, v has more, peak has more, but this one is from the REST connector. Okay, so again you can use the field value count. So I'm just picking this one, the latest one loaded. This case I can even use one. It won't make any difference because this table will always return one value, so it'll be true or false, and as a string. That's an interesting point. Okay, if you're not sure, so if you go here to the data visualization, like I don't know if it's returning -1, 0, true, false. Well, how is this returning how is the shape of this? If you click here in the predict, you see how it looks like. Okay, this case is a string capital T and false is capital F. Okay, so good. So now I'm building up, or I can even also, I mean, just keep the same pattern. Has more, okay. Has more here, has more here. So now I have this structure. So if I run this, it won't change anything, right? So I just have this very same 10 pages. The query start after. Now I'm getting the customer ID, has more. It's having a problem. Has more. Continue. Let me see what's going on here. Has more. Oh. Let me try that. It starts on 0. So I just put -1. I can add 0 because it's not field value. Okay. So it has more, false. Okay. Now it's okay. I see what's going on. So it's supposed to be true, but because I set my v starting after already, it's executing up here. But I need to initiate this value. So then I will go here, let equal this. I can use set in this case. It doesn't matter. So I'm just initiating this. So now if I execute again, I'm expecting to see has more equals true. Okay. Okay, has more true, latest, and the parameter setting. Okay, but so what? So there's nothing's going on. Okay, there's no loop yet. So then there are many ways to do loops, right? So another variable that I will start. I don't need to, but I'll just start as set has more equals true. Oops. It doesn't matter here, to be honest. So then I will start with do. I will do a do while loop. Again, there are multiple ways to do it. So just I put, so everything I like to adjust the code so I know everything inside here is inside the do loop. Okay. So then I start here loop while. So what's my repeat condition, right? Has more. So then I can go, okay, loop while has more, oops, equals true. Okay. I don't need the semicolon here. So what is this doing? So I'm just starting the variables. This can be anything, okay? Just not cause any debate on this. I'm just starting the variables. Then I have my REST connection. Okay, so I get the data. I pass the parameter, but this parameter is empty. So there is nothing inside here, okay? And then I get my customer's data. Then I get my latest loaded customer. I build the parameter. This one will be used in the next call. And I check if I have more records. So if has more means there's a next page. Then if there is a next page, I go loop here, go back all the way up. And then I'll use the with connection. So my with connection say query start after, the same exercise we did here. So the next one you have start after. And then if you pass the latest customer, okay, then we do the next pagination. And now that we just, my page has 10 records by default, so then has more will be false. And then this condition will not be true anymore. And the process will end. Okay. So how I get the 20 records here? I don't see concatenate or anything like that. You don't need to concatenate. So Qlik will automatically concatenate the records because we have this table with the same name, same fields. So you don't need to worry about that. Okay. So let's load the data. It's very important to drop the original one, not this one. Okay. Yeah, at all. So let's try it and see if we have any error. Okay. So good. So now I have 10 lines, start after. So this will be used in the next pagination. Then I get the other 20 records. And then has more equals false. Then we're good. So if I check here, my data preview, I'm expecting to see 20 records. Okay. All right. Nice. 20 records. Okay. Good. Perfect. So that's pretty much everything you need. But this is just the beginning. Okay. This is okay. That works. Amazing. I'm happy. But you may have problems. Oh, by the way, before going to this one, let me just add a query. I'll call the limit just to test it a little bit more. And my limit I will set to 2. Okay, comma. So actually, let me use 1. So I'm expecting to see 20 times the pagination. Okay, so we should see like 20 times getting called. Okay, let's do it. Nice. So it was called multiple times. Okay. All right. All right. So if it's still 20, it's all good. Now, let's say if there is a problem, something happens. You hard coded the has more true, so you keeping calling this forever until you reach the limit of your data connection. So you need to add safety measures. Okay, so just like, okay, man, I don't want to load this forever. Okay. So then you can use some things like a safety measure. Okay. Then I will just count the pages. Okay. So set v page equals 0 and set v max pages equals, I will use a small number for now, 10. Let's use 3. Okay. So just test it. So then I will add this condition, like I have my true condition, but end the max must be lower than max pages. Okay, that's my condition. And I have to increase the vmax page, correct? So then I just do here increase page count. Okay. Then I do let vpage equals vpage plus 1. All right. So good. So let's see if that happens. So then I know that I can loop 20 times because I have the limit 1 here. Okay. So then I count multiple times. So you'll be multiple pages. But then I added here stop, a break. Like after the page 3, just stop the process. Okay. So then I'm expect to see only 3 pages. Perfect. Okay. So then you see I still has more, but I put a limit here. So I stop at 3. And you'd be nice to know if I reach this limit. So in case I need to do a process or whatever, like is this one right now is a silent error. So you can just do if vmax equals then so I can add something. You can even throw an error now. Okay, so you can say trace max page reached. Let's say warning. Okay. So then if I go here and load again, I'm expecting to see this yes. So then you have in the in a misspell it. So you can see the error message. Okay. Good. So that's pretty much what you need to do any pagination in the load script. But you see a lot of code is needed here. And if you go to the data connection, it's just the data connection. So you don't have all this stuff. So it's easier to keep the code, the pagination stuff in the data connection. So you don't need to keep all the stuff. More code you type, it's that means more management and more places where you can make mistakes. Okay, so avoid that at all. Okay, especially for REST connections, because they change over time. So you may have to change the whole logic. When you add here, I will not cover in this video, but not in this course. When you include here nested pagination, this you get even more trickier because now you have to handle. You need to use apply map to get the correct keys to do the correct pagination and link the fields properly. So this starts getting like very complicated. Okay, so but this is the foundation. Like you need a do loop. Okay, do while loop, a pagination control, work with the with connection, and that's it. This is the foundation. So if you dominate this, you see you have to implement variations of this in different REST APIs. Okay. Let's move back to the presentation. Okay. So the next slide is just about add a safety measure. So this is important. So just estimate the number of paginations that you're expecting. So don't do like I did, right? Because I'm expecting more records. So you can do some, all right, I'm not expecting more than 1,000 pages. Just add limits close to what you're expecting. So in some cases, that depends. You can get locked from your REST API calls for a day or hour or a few minutes, or you may have your account locked. So that depends on how the policy implemented by the provider of the REST API. So avoid the rate limiting. Okay, this can be very problematic. Good. So the scripted pagination, it's very powerful. It covers any scenario, right? So you can implement the logic you want, right? You can manipulate in many different ways, but always keep in mind to add traces to your loops, so you control the loops, the safety measures, know the API limits, right? So those things are important. So you have to be aware about these problems when you use the scripted the pagination in the script. Like I said, the data connection handles all this stuff, so it's more secure and less code. So you don't need to maintain all this logic. So it's preferable to use the data connection, the pagination, the data connection. If this is not an option, you have to use the DOL script. Okay, just keep those things in mind. All right. Good. And again, with connection, accumulation, the loop conditions, this is all the pieces that you have to play in your loop with your load script. Okay. And just to finish the whole thing, so since the first class, we learn about REST APIs, what are the HTTP methods, how to do the authentication, how to do the data connection in Qlik, how to load the flat JSON versus the nested JSON, how to do the pagination with the data connections, and how to do pagination load scripts. So this is everything you need to challenge yourself on any REST APIs. So don't be afraid about facing a REST API connection. So this happens all the time, right? So always have when we have a REST API, a project that consumes data from REST API, people usually get afraid, and they avoid that and call a coworker or ask someone else to help with the REST API. So next time, just, okay, I think I can handle that. Get the REST API, take a look on one of these videos. They may have the solution for you, and then try it. You have to try. So as many as you try, you're going to learn more and more about REST APIs. Each one is different. So each one have their particularities. It's like learning a new application, a new interface. Okay, that's about REST API. So at some point, okay, I learned 20 different patterns, so you're prepared to face almost any REST API. Okay, so you need experience with REST APIs. Though, don't be afraid about facing it. The first one will be very hard. Second one, you'll be not that problematic. In your fifth, sixth one, then you'll be good. You start getting comfortable with it, and then I kind of enjoy doing it. If the REST API is not cruel, okay, and if it's well documented, it helps a lot. Examples, wonderful. Okay, all right. In this class specifically, So we saw a little bit more about with connection, how to apply it, the cursor loop, how to do this kind of cursor loop. The offset pattern is similar to the cursor loop, but we didn't specifically saw this one. But we can play in a similar way with the offset pattern. It's like an incremental steps. It's similar to the pagination safety gap. So just add things to not loop forever in your code, and that's not only true for REST APIs. So wherever you have a loop in your load script, add the safety gap. Okay, so you don't want to hold your application forever. And yeah, in the best practice that includes all this stuff. Okay. All right. So this is the end of the class. If you had any questions about REST APIs, if you have any challenge, you can post your questions. You can comment the videos, put your questions there. You can also look for me in the Qlik community. So just leave a comment there. You can mark my name as Mark Souza Costa. So if you look for that, I'm always around there. So just put your questions there, and someone will help you. If it's not me, you'll be someone from the Qlik community. Okay. Thank you very much. I hope you have enjoyed, and please subscribe to the channel and give a like in all the videos if possible. All right. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.